Hello and welcome to our webinar. Our topic today is turning projects into bananas. Well, obviously the topic is a joke, but what we're about to see is the ability of Ultimate Forms take any business process and implement it using just your browser on SharePoint. So what we're about to see today is a pretty straightforward process. What we're going to do, we're basically going to send an email to a predefined email address and get a response, and the response is going to be our email that has been modified by a business process. So let's start. So what I'm about to send is an email to this project's email, which is a email address of a special account that's monitored by the system, and I'm going to ask about the status of my project. So I'm going to ask for a status update. Hi, how are my projects? Bloody. And I'm going to send it there. Now this email is, as I said, monitored by a special account. So there is a product, a component of Ultimate Forms that is monitoring this email account. So it's going to be doing it automatically every 15 minutes, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm actually going to run this process manually so we don't have to wait. Now, run now. Okay. Takes about 10 seconds for the process to finish. What it's going to do, it's going to connect to our POP3 or Exchange, in this case, server, and it's going to check for the new emails, and it's going to import these emails into a SharePoint list. Let's just check for any new emails that we can find. And here it is. So what I get back is an email with the same subject line as my email, and what it sent me is a PDF file. Let's open it up. It says your banana is attached, and what it's going to show is the same content as my email, just with the word project replaced with the word banana. So it's a very simple business process. I specifically wanted to demonstrate something that is easy to understand. So what's going to be different about this webinar compared to all the previous webinars that we've had is that I'm going to be actually showing you how everything is done. I'm going to be doing it with you from scratch. So let's go to our SharePoint now, and we have a list called Inbox, and this is basically the list that receives the emails and sends them back. So let's refresh it, and we're going to see our email here. Here it is. Let's open it up, and you see that the content, the body of the email already appears with the word project replaced. So the actual replacement takes place before we actually import the email. We also see such information as the sender name and the sender email and the subject line. Now if I want to add something to this list, I can actually do it. I can save something, but I cannot provide any information. There are no fields in my new form, but when I go and I open an existing item, it would be happy to let me edit it. So that's something I'm going to be showing how it can be done as well. So the first thing that I want to do, and I'm going to do it real quick, is to disable the email import functionality on this form, so we don't have to, we're not going to receive two emails from two different sources. Confusing. So what you can see is the new design button that now appears on every list or document library in both 2010 and 2013. This button takes us to a page that basically pulls together all the links to all the components of Ultimate Forms. So you can use it to create tabbed interface, column and tab permissions, validation rules, actions, and all the rest. You can even create new custom fields that are part of Ultimate Forms. Now on the right hand side you see the guide to how to get started easily with some easy to follow steps, and you can even see the latest tips from our blog, so you can actually see how common business requirements can be implemented. Okay, so what we need to do now, and this is not a part of a demonstration, so I'm going to do it real quick, is actually to disable the current import. So what I'm going to do, and basically I'm going to change the schedule, and I'm going to be talking about this in length later. So I'm going to just make it monthly and not today, so it's not going to run again. Great. So let's start with creating a new list. So this one, it was called Inbox. So the new one, I'm going to call it Inbox 2. Okay, custom list is great, and Inbox 2. Let's go to the settings and add some new columns. So we need a column for body, which is a multiple lines of text, and we'll need also a column for sender name, and another one for sender email. That's basically all the columns that we need. Now let's go back and let's go click on design here. Another way of getting to this page, and now let's just set the column permissions so we prevent users from entering data in the new form. So on all columns I'm going to set the permissions to be denied on the new form, and I'm going to set permissions to write for edit and view form. So basically I'm preventing anyone from entering new data to this list. Fantastic. Let's just see if it works. So I'm going to click on new here, and I'm not going to be able to enter any data. That's great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the import. So again, clicking on design, and now I'm scrolling down to the import functionality, and now what I'm going to set up is an import profile. So basically we work in two steps. First, we establish the connection to the data source from which we want to take this information. So in this case, it's going to be Exchange mailbox. We can also connect to any database or even web services. So let's say import for inbox. It doesn't really matter what name we give it. It's going to run every 15 minutes. That's fantastic. So this is as often as we can. And now let's change. The type is email, and it's going to be Exchange 2010. The server's name is cosmoiw.com. Use SSL, and our inbox is going to be for the user projects. That's the one we send an email to. And let me just put in the password and connect. So it's happily established the connection, and now we need to provide it with some actions. Basically, we've established the connection. We now have the information. Now we want to tell it what to do with this information. So in our case, we're going to be creating new items. You can also update existing items with new information. This is a way to implement approvals or other types of updates for the existing data. And we can also do a sync, meaning that in the cases where we have items, we will update them, but if we don't have them, we will create new ones. Okay, so create list item. It's going to be create items, Again, the name doesn't really matter. So let's start the mapping. So we have the full freedom of mapping the fields from, in this case, an email to the columns within the list. So let's, title would be mapped to subject, and we can type it in, or we can use this picker, which also makes it easier and prevents any errors. Okay, so we'll take the subject from here. Set it. Sender email is going to be mapped to sender address here. And sender name is going to be mapped to the sender name here. Now we need the sender email basically to reply. Sender name, I'm just keeping it there so we know who the sender was. Now with the body, it's a little bit trickier. What we want to do is we want not just to map it, but we want also to replace the word project with the word banana. So our picker actually can help us to do that. On the right hand side we see these functions, and there are quite a few of them, and the one that we're looking for is called replace, and it accepts 3 parameters. The first parameter is what to work with. In this case it's our body. The second parameter is what to find, which is project, and the third parameter is what to replace it with. In this case it's banana. The picker will also validate that what you enter is correct, both in terms of syntax and in terms of the value type. So this, for example, returns text, so it can only be mapped to columns that accept text, which body obviously does. Now we can also set up some conditions. We don't have to import every email that comes into this email box. We can look for something in the subject or the body or the sender and only import those emails. But in our case it doesn't matter, so we are not going to be adding any conditions. So let's save this action. We can actually have multiple actions per profile, and we can have multiple profiles per list. Let's save the profile as well. So now we've set up the import process. Now profile is ready. Next step would be setting up the print template. So basically we are printing the item. Let's go back to our original list, and if we open up the context menu, we will see this print button. We can also see it here. And the print button, what it does, it allows us to print the item in a template that we've designed. This is our template called email to sender, and it's a very simple template, just the title and the body. You can create very advanced templates with your own header, footer, layout. You can also, once you've had it printed or presented on the screen in a print preview, you can send it to a printer, you can convert it to PDF, or you can even email it directly from here. Now, what are we going to be doing is actually we're going to be using an automated process for sending back the response. So let's first start with the email template. So let's go back to our new list. Let's click on design again. And here let's click on print and export. Now we're going to create a new print template. Name doesn't matter. The type is item, or you can also be a list when we are printing multiple items. In this case it's just one item. Simple mode. Advanced mode allows you to actually design the whole interface in a rich text editor, but here we only need it simple, so we need title and body, and we don't want any sections, we don't want any headers, we don't want any footers, but you can have if you do want. The only thing that does matter here is that we need to check this share template with all users checkbox. By default, when you create a template, it's only for you. You're the only one who can see it. In our case, because it's a background process that's going to be using this template, we actually want to share this template with others. And let's save it. So now we have a print template ready. So the last part of this puzzle is the actual background process that will send the email back. It will take it, it will print this list item, and it's going to convert it to PDF and send it back. Okay, so let's close this. And for all of our background processes, we use actions. So let's go to actions. So basically, actions can do, well, basically everything, but first we need to create an action column to which the actions will belong. And now we can create actions. You can have as many actions as you want. There are several different types of actions, 16 presently, from updating list items, creating new list item, deleting, creating lists, sites, managing permissions, executing store procedures in any database or web service, creating users in Active Directory, and also for printing list items. And that's the one we're going to do. So let's call it just print. And it's going to run whenever a new item is added to this list. Now let's go to advanced settings. Here are additional settings. What is important now is only to mark is as hidden. By default, actions only run when you save an item from a form. So you basically interactively opening an item or adding an item and saving it in a form. To support background processes and execution through workflows and so on, you would need the action to be hidden, or if you don't want the users to see it. Now let's go to the actual action settings. Here we want first to select which items we want to print. Now I can print any item within any site, basically within any site collection, but I only want the current item. So what I'm going to do is current site, current list, and I'm going to pick an item where the ID of it equals the same as the ID of the current item, basically the item on which the action runs. So it's basically we are printing the current item. That's a recurring, it's a recurring method here for selecting current item if you want to update the current item, which is obviously one of the options. Now we select the template. We only have one because that's the only one we created. Now we want to export to PDF, and we want to email it to our sender. So we basically emailing it to the user email that we stored in the sender email column. Subject is going to be RE title. So it's basically RE, the subject of the original email. You can again use the picker, you can type it in, everything is supported. And in the body I'm gonna say your banana is attached. Let's save it. And that's basically it. So now let's test it. Sorry. Taste the banana. Okay. Projects. And it's gonna be test. And now I'm just gonna include the word banana in a project in here. What's with my projects? Let's send it. Again, we need to run the process, so don't have to wait. And let's wait a few seconds for the process to finish. So again, to recap what's going on, we're sending this to this email. This email is monitored and automatically read by our process. The process for each new email it finds, it creates an item in our list. We already got the response. for the item, once the item is created, this action fires, and what it does, it takes the item, it prints it, and it sends it back as a PDF to the same sender. So let's see what we got. Your banana is attached, and it should be the same content exactly as I sent it, with the word project replaced by the word banana. So basically, this is it. It's a very simple process. I was trying to keep it as simple as possible and to explain every step that I'm taking. But you could probably understand that implementing something like that without Ultimate Forms would not take 10-15 minutes, the time it took us here with all the explanations. It will take a lot more. And I wanted to show you, because of basically the whole process here is a joke, but the functionality, the ability to create any business process, realistic or not, using these components, and it makes it so much easier and faster. Thank you so much for watching this presentation.